So when you did that $25 million listing and you had that big party, that was actually at the low point of the market, right?
Yeah, it was just getting going. The house finished in end of 2013, and I think we ramped it at the very beginning of 2014, just as the market was coming out of the doldrums of being really flat.
Right. So, but a lot of people are going to those listings kind of just to take the photo for the gram and maybe get some free caviar or some champagne out of it.
100%. But remember, Jeff, there was no Instagram at that time.
Okay.
So the social media hadn't become really big in 2014. So it was like kind of a lot of things were being pioneered at that point, but we just wanted to do the big blockbuster open house where everybody can see what we're doing.
After Selling Sunset came out,
right?
Was Mo in the boardroom going, fuck this, we got to do something. These guys are we started this entertainment real estate market. We need to really take this back.
Not really. I mean, when we started the company at the very beginning in 2011, United Talent came to us and said, hey, we'd love to do a show with you guys starting up your company from the ground up. How to build a superpower real estate agency. And we took a couple of meetings with them, and then we said, no way, we're not going to do it. It's the wrong time. Because what if we fail? We didn't even know if we're going to be successful or not. We thought we were going to be successful because we have some ego, but we're like, this is such the wrong time to do a reality show at the very beginning, 2011. I can't speak for Mauricio. I'm sure he's always wanted to have his own, quote, real estate show. And hence that's, Buying Beverly Hills was born out of that.
Got it.
Because he's already, a pro on reality television for, Real Housewives and being guest star on $1 Million Listing and all the other shows that we were involved in, or we have been involved in.
Okay, so, and how much is it a family business?
For him, it is quite a lot because he has two of his daughters working for him.
Right.
So on the Umansky team, there's actually 3 daughters working for him. So he has
Alexia.
He has Alexia, he's got Farah, and he's got
Don't worry, I'll cut. We can cut this part.
Yeah.
Alexia, America.
And Sophia.
So
he's got Sophia, Alexia, and Farah working with him, and then they have and then his father, Eduardo.
Right.
So I mean, that's 4 Umansky family members, and then there's a couple other people that work with them.
And they're actually agents.
Right? 100%.
Everyone's actually working for you guys.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. So that's an actual real reality.
So that's not even reality television. That's actually just reality.
Right. Okay. So now when you guys did disrupt the market, it was quite a revolutionary thing at the time. But nowadays you see, other than the TV shows, it's all over YouTube, it's all over Instagram, it's all over TikTok, and it feels like there's so many real estate influencers nowadays. Well, how important is that?
I mean, I think it's pretty important. When we started, one of the things that we said is, okay, there's going to be no personal branding. So there's going to be no pictures. It's just the agency. You can't use your photo on any ads. You can't have the Blair Chang Group at the agency or BC Properties. That we wouldn't allow that at the time because we wanted to be hyper focused on the agency itself and having the coolest luxury boutique brand real estate firm in the world, if you will. These days, the influencer is somewhat important because that's a great way to get the houses out and exposure for whoever you're working with, so there's a couple really big real estate bloggers and really big Instagram sites that are also real estate driven that really help expose the listings. So it's changed a ton.
And okay, so let's talk about those big bloggers, those big YouTube accounts.
Yeah.
How does that work? Do you have to get them to come and shoot the house and you give them a commission, or you pay them for the video?
Each one is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how great the house is and how much they want to shoot it.
Okay.
So if you have some incredible like $50 million house, it's insanely amazing. I mean, they could do it for free.
Right. Inez will come for that.
Hey, listen, I had Mr. Beast come to one of mine.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, he's the biggest YouTuber on the planet, and I have this island for sale in the Keys of Florida Keys, and he actually came and shot it with his crew.
Wow.
Because he thought it was so cool that he's like, I'm doing this.
What did he do there?
He just showed everybody how cool this island was and brought out his panel and like, this is the coolest place, this is for sale, and just basically talked about it.
Oh, so it wasn't like a Squid Game on that
No.
He just did
he just came straight up and just like, this is the coolest place, it's for sale. I mean, he's one of the biggest YouTubers in the world.
How does that happen though? Do you have an agent that you contact, or how
My
does that
co-listing agent in Florida actually reached out to his people and said, hey, I want to put this on his
YouTube channel?
Yeah, and would he be interested? And he liked it. He just liked the vibe. But like someone like Inez, it's like you show it to him, you throw it his direction, and he either goes, this is awesome, he could do it for free, or he goes, I would do it, but I'm going to charge you for it. So it just depends on the situation. But it's having people like that these days really help add another layer of marketing for that property.
So essentially, that's the job of the real estate agent these days. Not just finding a buyer, but doing the whole marketing aspect of it, right?
Really important, yeah. I mean, you have, like, especially with these high-end listings, you have to throw them out in a bunch of different directions and see if one of them sticks. It's like having an octopus that has 8 arms, or 8 fingers, if you will, and you got to throw the house out in 8 different directions and try different things and how to market the house and see if any of them stick. Yeah.
Because I mean, you're essentially building hype around a house.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
Because we're talking about that $25 million listing.
Right.
95% of the people that go in there aren't even going to make an offer. They're just kind of there to like feel the vibe and have the champagne, etc. Is that the point though? Is it just to get people talking about the property?
These days, absolutely. Like you have like a $20 million plus listing and there's less than 1% of the population who can buy a $20 million house.
Right.
But if you have it open, you have these real estate agents and people come and they're like tweeting about it and Instagramming about it. It just throws, it just gets it out there, in all these different, let's just say, social media platforms or on the World Wide Web or whatever. It's just more exposure for the house.
So do you have to do that for almost every house, or just because I would imagine some of the client lists are like they want to keep things more private.
Definitely.
I don't want everyone seeing, like 50 videos of my living room or my bedroom out there.
Totally. No, that's some of the listings that I have and some of the listings that I've had haven't allowed me to have one open house, not even a broker's open house. It just, they want to basically make sure that the buyer that comes in is properly vetted. They don't want any of the bullshit. They don't want people like Instagramming their house all over. That no, they're just like, hey, I want to keep it to people I want to keep the showings to people who are really well qualified, and that's what I want to do. So it just depends on the house and who the seller is.
So there was that one house, I'm not sure for where it was, in Truesdale, or it was like that $100 million house.
Right.
That wouldn't sell forever.
Right.
You know which one I'm talking about?
Yes. And the Asian lady from Pasadena bought, or San Marino?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that house, I remember they had so many crazy perks. Like it threw in like a car collection and a bunch of art and stuff like that. Can you tell me about that house?
So that
first.
that house
what's
was
the name
called
of it?
Opus.
Opus, yes.
That was a house, Opus. It was probably, at this point, this is probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was designed by, at the time, a prolific developer. I won't name his name because he doesn't develop anymore, and he doesn't.
Well, that was his last one, right?
Exactly. And then he doesn't live in the country anymore. Really? Like I heard he moved away somewhere very, very far.
Is that like a tail between the legs story, was he owed money?
He after Opus, he did a blockbuster project that just busted him.
Oh, really?
It's that big 100,000 square foot house at the top of Stradella.
Yeah, that one. That's not called Opus. That
was called The One.
The One.
And The One.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically bankrupted him.
Okay, we need to talk about both those. Okay, so Opus.
So Opus was an interesting house because Opus was kind of on the heels of the house that the Minecraft guy bought next door. And so, look, it's a great block of Truesdale. It's a 1,100 block of Hillcrest. It has insane views. You know, the property up there is worth a ton. And this developer built his kind of signature 20,000 square foot modern house.
Right.
But at the time, put a huge price tag on it.
Right.
Over 100 million. I don't remember what it was, but it was absurd.
Right.
Because keep in mind, next door it sold for like 68. So it was just an absurd price. No one would take it because just both the money and so maybe some of them didn't like the finishes, but really it comes down to like the money, you know. And then, you know, after it had been on the market and off the market and on the market, years later it sold to an Asian lady from like San Marino who collects real estate for a lot less money than what he intended it to sell for. Once they sell for like in the 60s, I don't remember exactly.
But then he made the same mistake again and did the one, which is way bigger.
So he was pretty cocky.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. You know, and this guy, like, I never really got along with him because I thought he was an arrogant prick. So he did this house called The One. And it was up at, you know, kind of Stradella, and it's 100,000 square foot. It was 120,000 square feet.
Right. Helipad.
3 acre.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Obnoxious.
These knuckleheads, like, you're going to have a helipad at your house. You're not even going to get FAA clearance.
Yeah.
So why even have a helipad? Because you can't land a helicopter there. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 3 acres, guest house, main house, 2 swimming pools. I mean, great site. You know, but the guy, like, 125,000 square feet. And he's like, I'm gonna list it for $500 million.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you're insane. You're absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So it took him forever to finish the house. At that point, he was bleeding money and cash out of it.
You're right. He must have had investors. He couldn't have put all that up himself.
Yeah, he had an investor, which was essentially a bank.
Okay.
And in the meantime, the market was kind of turning and the market was getting worse.
Yeah.
And some of the other spec projects he had were actually losing money and not making any. So to cut a long story short, he has this house and he can't make the payment to his lender.
Oh no.
And he defaults on it. And he, like, before it even comes, like, it comes on the market, it comes on the market for, I don't know, 300 million or whatever it was. He can't make the payment to the lender takes it back.
Okay.
And then the property eventually sells for like all in like 165.
Okay.
To the guy from not Shop Pop, but one of a clothing guy,
Okay.
a clothing company guy who just, like, you know, thought it was super cool to have the biggest house, you know, in Bel Air. So he bought it. Now he's redoing the whole thing.
He's redoing
it all because the finishes in the house were so shitty.
So gaudy and so
gaudy, tacky, shiny.
Yeah.
He's like, look, it's a great site and I like the architecture, but I'm redoing the whole house.
Because I think that was the pinnacle of the crazy glitzy, you know, marketing of a property that probably shifted things a little bit too. Like, all right, we've gone too far on the spectrum.
Totally.
Like, what the agency started with a $25 million a party for a $25 million home. Now it's gotten to a $500 million home with a helipad that can't be used, with like a whole collection of Dom Perignon and Ferraris, and we've gone too far.
I mean, you pushed the envelope and it became kind of tacky at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And people, even with ultra high net worth, are like, the house is tacky. Never going to buy it. You know, It's like, I don't like the architecture, and the finishes, you know, are from 5 years ago.
If it's too tacky for an oil baron, then you know you've gone a little too far.
Yeah, I mean, especially in LA. I mean, none of the people from that are outside the US wanted it. No one really wanted it. The guy who actually bought it because he got a really good deal.
But when you saw that, you were like, dude, look at this monster we've created in the market.
It was so bad. You know, me going as, hey, I co-own part of a real estate company. I'm like, this is just not good product. I'm like, you know, and I'm one,
stupid.
And it's so funny because I'm one that doesn't bag on a lot of houses, or I never really kind of like go like, this is shitty, it's horrible or whatever, but it just wasn't good.
Right. It's funny because that house, you know, it was getting bad when my promoter friends were asking me, he's like, hey, do you know any like Chinese really rich people that are interested in buying the one? I'm like,
because it went up for auction. That's why they put it for auction. That's how it's
Oh.
sold.
So that's why everyone had their tentacles involved.
Yeah.
And I think he was just grabbing at straws, thinking like, all right, who has someone with connections? And they're like, oh, we can give you like half a point
Yeah.
on this or that. And I'm like,
I'll give you $100,000 if you just bring some rich guy over to the house.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, let me try that.
you saw that. You're like, what is
Yeah.
going on here?
I mean, it was a fire sale. I mean, they literally put it at auction.
Right. Okay, so that's one of the properties that's really interesting. Another one was the Kanye property recently.
Yeah,
On,
we sold
in
that.
Malibu.
And one of my agents sold that property.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you guys would you buy it and sell it, or is Kanye the client?
No. So we had the buyer for that property.
Yeah.
And Kanye had basically bought this house on Malibu Road and then stripped it.
And it
Like-
was like
like literally-
iconic.
Well, it has what they call him brutalist modern Japanese architect Tadao Ando.
Yeah.
And he is one of the most sought after legendary architects in the world.
Yeah.
Especially, and then being Asian on top of that, Tadao Ando is world famous, and Kanye loves architecture and loves collecting it, and bought it for $50 million, just over $50 million, gutted the inside. And then this developer, who's represented by one of my agents, bought it for 21.
What the okay, okay, hold on.
I know.
Was it worth 50 to begin with?
No.
Okay, right.
Let me tell you something. Like when you're in Malibu and you know the business, like Malibu real estate is gauged on how big's your lot, how much beach frontage do you have? Do you have 125 feet? Do you have, 225 feet? How
Yeah.
big, Kanye just overpaid for something because he wanted it to have a Tadao Ando.
And then he gutted it.
And then he gutted it because he's a visionary. Or he thinks he is.
Right.
The only reason why I know this is because he did at one point, maybe like a year and a half ago, write an offer for one of my properties.
And it was
And he was going to make all kinds of changes. And he's like, I'm a visionary. I'm like, my client and this was a really, really high-end condo in a really high-end building. And my client goes, there is no way I'm selling this place to Kanye West because
Really?
the other residents in this building will kill me if they knew Kanye was their neighbor and I let the sale go through. So
Really?
my client was super cognizant, like Kanye in this building would be very bad.
and didn't care how big the offer was.
He didn't care.
Really? So money was not an issue.
He didn't care.
So
And Kanye wasn't a bad dude. I mean, I met Kanye, he was super nice to me and everything else. It's just, unfortunately, his reputation is just not as golden as people would like it to be. That's all. And
Right.
he was really nice to me.
So how often does that happen when you have a client who thinks they're a visionary or is an egomaniac and is just writing huge checks? Right?
I mean,
just overpaying for everything.
So in LA, it can happen a lot, like big markets, LA, New York, Miami Beach. These things happen and can happen frequently because you have a lot of big egos, a lot of money here. Some people that have funny money that just don't care, it happens. It really does, where you go, wow, that person paid a lot of money for that property.
Right. You're like waiting for those clients, right? You're like, love these guys.
You're like, whoa, it's funny though, because I look at those sales and going, holy moly, that person really overpaid. But hey, more power to them. If they like what they bought, then I'm not,
Is it going to be difficult for your next sale then? Because if you get a listing, then they're like, dude, Kanye just paid 50 for that.
Yeah, I mean,
this thing's worth at least 48. Come on. You're
I
like,
know. That's the problem sometimes. It's like, hey, I was at a listing appointment the other day and some developer goes, hey, come to my house. I'm like, this is on the west side of LA and in the Palisades. I'm like, yeah, no problem, in a really good area. And so he takes me through his house and we're talking. I go, what do you think your price should be? And he goes, well, you just sold the house around the corner to Ben Affleck for $3,300 a square foot. So we're going to put it at X. I'm like, well, I mean, that property was not a spec house. It had an exceptional lot and all these other things. And sometimes people get they go off in this little fairy tale land, like their properties were so much because the property around the corner sold for so much, you know, and they don't realize because they've never been there what that property actually was, you know, and sometimes, you know, it's overpaid, sometimes it's worth it. But, you know, the developer or the seller always goes, what's the biggest price per square in the area? That's what I want to ask for mine, because mine's equally as good.
So they just make that biggest comp, and they're like, all right, that should be it.
Exactly.
Right? And then you're like, bro,
like,
Kanye's not coming around this neighborhood.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not your guy. I'm not sure I'm your guy.
Kanye thinks it's too hot over here, exactly. So that's not happening.